If there is no God, and the universe has been around forever, which is one view that some people hold, then we're just lucky. It's lucky that life came from space dust. Life came from non-life. And that's the way he explains it. So he believed that the data indicated a super intellect. He believed that there was a super intellect behind the creation of the universe. But wait, didn't you say he was an atheist? I did. So what was his theory? He held to what's called panspermia. He believes in aliens, that aliens created the universe. So even though I disagree with him on that, I think that we should just be willing to embrace the Creator God. He recognized this. He believed that the data indicated a super intellect who, quote, monkeyed with physics as well as with chemistry and biology, and that there are no blind forces worth speaking about in nature. He didn't want to refer to nature as having blind forces. The numbers one calculates from the facts seems to me so overwhelming as to put this conclusion almost beyond question. How did the universe come into existence? How is there this sense of design? Even Richard Dawkins, who's a popular atheist, teaches at University of Oxford, he teaches science. He says that the universe appears designed. Not that it is designed, on his view, but it appears designed. Whereas I would say, if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, it is a duck. If it appears designed, look at the facts. It is designed. All right? So we're rolling dice here. How long do you think it would take to actually reach those probabilities, to be comparable to a tornado going through a junkyard to create a Boeing 747? How long would it take to, get to those double six? How many double sixes in a row do we need to roll to reach 1/10 to the 40,000th power? How many? So, rolling 2 double sixes was hard, right? Yes, we would be here most of the day. What if I told you it would take almost 14,000 double sixes in a row to roughly be equivalent to the probability that life arose from non-life if God did not exist? That is a probability. You couldn't live your whole life rolling dice. And even if you got, say, 100 double sixes in a row, if you screwed up, you'd have to start all the way over. If you just did 100 double sixes in a row, imagine having to roll something like 14,000 double sixes. It's impossible. There's not enough time in the universe to roll that many double sixes. So if someone were to believe that life arose through evolutionary theory, devoid of God, through evolutionary theory due to millions of years of development, there's simply not enough time for this to have happened. Now, maybe you want to affirm evolutionary theory. I'm not here to propose one scientific view over another. But it would require God to exist in order to bring it about. You couldn't do it on mere chance, whatever that might mean. Okay, let's move along in the interest of time. So we've looked at origin, we've looked at design. There's so much more to say here, guys, but we just don't have enough time. Ha, pun intended. Okay, so I want to move over to ethics now. Okay, ethics, that objective morality is best explained by God's nature. Okay? Objective morality is best explained by God's nature. Where do morals come from? So one formal argument is this. It's called the moral argument. If God does not exist, then objective morals and duties do not exist. Premise 2, objective morals and duties do exist, therefore God exists. Well, wait, can't atheists be good people? Can't they perform good actions? Yes. But the question is, what grounds that morality? What makes sense of it? I'm not talking about the ability of a human. I'm talking about what makes the best sense of morality. So, one might also say, well, you've got God and he just commands these things, doesn't he? So how is it that that's any fair, right? There's a theory called divine command theory. Does God command these things because there's some moral law over God himself from which he refers to these laws and commands them? Or is something just and right because God commands it? This is classically what's called the Euthyphro dilemma. How many of you have heard of Socrates? He was an ancient philosopher. And there was a fellow named Euthyphro that he held a conversation with. And that was Euthyphro's objection. But the Christian doesn't have to worry about this dilemma. And here's why. Because God commands something because it's in accordance with his nature, right? So moral laws come from his nature. The scripture teaches that God is love. God is love. So moral truths are based in God's nature. Now, maybe you want to try to get around this idea. Maybe you want to try to get around the moral argument. And you might say, well, you could bite the bullet and say, there is no objective morality, but we make morality for ourselves. Societies decide what's right and wrong. Perhaps morals are relative to the person, individual to individual. If that were the case, then our moral beliefs, that I shouldn't murder, I shouldn't steal, those are equivalent to the idea that chocolate is better than ice cream. They're just subjective preferences. So maybe we can avoid the argument and we can just say, yeah, there's no objective morality. By objective, I mean that it's true even if no one believes it. Maybe we have subjective morality. But that position really struggles with certain ideas, and also it doesn't make any sense of moral progress, that we're actually making moral progress in our society. There's no difference between an Adolf Hitler or a Martin Luther King Jr. If morality is relative, there's no difference between them. They're just operating on their own preferences, their social preferences. Or maybe that position doesn't seem all that palatable to you, so you might think, well, no, we got to say there's objective morality, right? Because what Martin Luther King Jr. did was good, really good, and what Hitler did was definitely evil. So we want to say objective morality exists, but if you're an atheist, how do these morals exist? Are they out there somewhere? Can we taste them or see them? It really is a difficulty for the atheist because we don't even know that the evolutionary process would bring about a way in which we could understand and know these morals. So there's nothing that connects these morals out there somewhere. So it really is a problem for the atheist, this sense of objective morality. So we've looked at three reasons for the existence of God. I want to recap here. And I know I've only just hit the tip of the iceberg. Isn't it something like you see 15% of an iceberg or something like that? I think I've hit like 2% of what these arguments are about. So like there's way more out there, guys. And I want to encourage you to check out great resources. So there's a wonderful website called Apologetics 315. When you go home, not now, when you go home, apologetics315.com. Great resources. You can learn more about cosmological arguments, design, morality, etc. So origin, where did we come from? Design, our world, our universe was created for life, and ethics, that objective morality is best explained by God's nature.